Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. You find me with lots of bits out around the Volvo 480, so let's get cracking on and we'll get a bit of progress on this. Well, I've made a bit of progress on my Volvo 480. Finally, we're starting to get the brakes back together. You can probably tell we've got some more shiny parts on there. If you remember the last video, I was working on the brake calipers, getting the brake lines in. You can see that the new flexi is on there as well, and that is all that's all fed with brake fluid now, so that's good news. So what I've been doing is I've been working out how to get all of this back together, because believe it or not, I didn't have any notes on how all of this fitted back together. So I've been going back over some of my previous videos to work out how it all fits together. Now, I did find a bit of a problem. These brake backing plates, I think, are for the non-ABS 480 model, because they kind of have a cutout for the ABS sensor, but not properly. I'll show you what I mean. I'll get the other backing plate. Here it is. You can see the hole there is for the ABS sensor, which makes sense. If I get the broken one here, and they're held in place by a little bolt, as you can imagine. Now, if I bring that into line and they go in like that, you'll see, if I just hold it there and then put it into place, what the problem is. There's no hole for the bolt that holds it in place. Actually, I don't know how you would fasten that at all. So all I can think of is it's not designed for the ABS spec model. Simple solution: cut a little wedge in there so that it'll work. And that's what I've done on the one that I've put in. I'll take you in and show you what I've managed to come up with. There you can see it's sat there, and I just cut a square out, because actually it wouldn't sit flush either. If you look, the ridges here would have hit against it and it wouldn't have sat and mated nicely, so it does actually solve that as well. But now that means the ABS sensor should go on, and I can then test fit the caliper bracket as well. If you remember the old caliper brackets, here's one of them, and you can immediately see why these weren't going to go back on. They were cut there and they were cut there. I had to cut them off because they were not coming off at all. They go on just like so. So luckily got on the Volvo 480 forums, and I can't remember the chap's name. I'll pop a thank you down the bottom, and got a couple of these which he had going spare, so that I can get them in place. And go on like that. What I have realised though is, if you think about it, the old ones, the bolts are all cut, so I don't have the bolts. So I'm going to have to order some new bolts. Going to get those, and then we can get this in place. I can test fit them just with some ridiculously large bolts, just to hold them in place for now, just so that I can try and test fit everything, because that's one of the problems that I have been having, trying to test fit everything and get things kind of somewhere near the right place. A couple of ridiculously long bolts, but it holds it in place. By the way, this is my boxes of spare bolts, which I don't think helps matters, but never mind. And now if I use the old disc, so I am using a combination of old and new at the minute just to test fit. I do have new discs and pads and things like that, but I don't want to put them on until we get a little bit closer. So let's just see if I can... Oh, there we go. That lines up. We just put a couple of the wheel bolts in. Just to try and line things up a bit, get a bit of an idea. If that sits there and the carrier's on there, yeah, kind of fits, doesn't it? Let's get the brake caliper attached just onto the top and see how that fits into place. Did a little bit of wrestling off camera because trying to keep the disc in place, I should really just put the little screw in. That would hold the disc perfectly, because the disc's rattling about, the caliper carrier's rattling about because I've got the wrong size bolt. But you can kind of see how it's coming together now. I can see where the caliper sits. So the caliper's sat on there. I can see. So that's the handbrake cable that we will need to feed through the top there and onto the handbrake lever like that. That's looking okay as well, which is good news. I think that comes in over the top, but I might need to check that, because that looks a little bit tight. But it could just be that I've got the proportions wrong and things. But yeah, that's starting to look more like the wheel as I'd expect it, which is really good news. It's taken me a while to get to this point, to be absolutely honest. Trying to get all of the different parts. Like I say, I need to order some bolts which are going to hold the caliper carrier in place, and I think once I've got those, I'm pretty much at the point where I want to get this piece back together, both sides obviously. So at least we can pretty much put the wheel on, and then I think it's time to get the rear bumper back on and in place. If I kind of show you the rear bumper and the positioning, we've got the bumper bar, the metal bar to go on, which sits down here, which kind of, the bumper hangs off. And then I think we can get the bumper on and wrapped back round, which for starters will be good, because it'll get it out of my shed where it's lived for a lot longer than it should have. The bumper bar wasn't in the best of conditions. I think I might need to do a little bit more welding or fabrication onto that, so maybe that's the next job to do whilst I wait for the bolts and things to finish that off. So I'm going to wrap that back up again for now. Just quickly before continuing on with the rear bumper bar, I thought, there's one side done, and if we go around the other side, you'll see pretty much everything's in place. Quite pleased with that. I'm just going to cover them up with bags now, because I don't want them to get affected, you know. It's good progress, that. Like I said, going to get the bumper bar out and we'll take a look and see what state that's in, find out what work needs done to that. It's pretty much as I remember the bumper bar. It's not in the greatest of shapes. A couple of the integrate bolts aren't good, so might need to refasten those. It goes on, if I remember rightly, that way. Something like that, I think that's the right way up. Might need to double check that. Now I have done rust repair on it. It's not the best, but you also can't get a replacement bumper bar, so we have to make do as best as we can with it, I think. Test fitting in place. It is a bit crusty, but it's not too bad. The main bits are where the clips go along the bottom here, which is just where a few of the brackets for the bumper hang on. The actual integrity of it is not bad actually. If I take a hammer, it holds up. Just need to sort out those replacement bolts to get those fitted and back in again. I think that's what I need to do for next time maybe. And that's about all that I'm going to do in this video. Slow progress again, but we're getting places, we're getting there with it, and I hope you'll join me next time. Remember to subscribe for more videos. Got loads more that I've got planned this year. Ultimately, we're going to get this car back on the road and MOT this year, so stay tuned for more progress. Please give me a thumbs up and a like, and a comment down the bottom as well, and I'll see you in the next video.